Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to go over all of my favorite products for 2018. I have a little bit of everything, so I'm going to tell you guys like my process of coming up with this. So at first I was going to do like every single thing, pick like a high-end and a drugstore. Instead, I'm only including things that I really loved and that I was reaching for almost all year long, or at least a large portion of the year. Some of them I will have a high-end and a drugstore, others I may not. I thought about doing like a product I didn't like in 2018, but honestly those are less memorable for me, and there was only a couple that like really stood out. If you want to see some like product fail type of things, let me know, but in this video I'm just focusing on what I loved in 2018. So if you want to see all of those products, just keep watching. So let's start with a couple pieces of skincare. The very first thing that I actually have, I do not have the product anymore because I used it completely up, but I will insert a picture. It's the Pacifica Sea Foam Cleanser. This one kind of hit all the marks. It's affordable, it was good quality, it did a really good cleanse, but it didn't dry my skin out, which is like number one. Pacifica is really great ingredients as well, and yeah, the price point was beyond amazing. You can get similar high-end cleansers, but I was blown away by this, and I really love the smell of it. Not that you have to love the smell of your cleanser, but it doesn't hurt. Next, I have two skincare products that I actually have right in front of me that I have been using for months on end. The first one I have talked about on Instagram. I've included in another video, I think, but this is the Lancome Meal and Mousse. This is a foaming cleansing makeup remover with acacia honey in it. So this is what the bottle looks like. You can see where I am literally down to here. So I have used this and loved this every single day that I've worn makeup since I got this cleanser. I've used this. It comes out a bit thick, but when you melt it into dry makeup, everything just starts to like break down. You add a little bit of water and it becomes like this milky, foamy consistency. I just really love this one, and I definitely need some more of this. I love this makeup remover so much. I always do a double cleanse, so typically if I had my Pacifica Sea Foam, I would do this first over dry makeup, and then I'd go in with my Sea Foam cleanser or whatever cleanser I'm using at the time. Next is the Murad Hydrating Toner. You can tell I have been loving this one thoroughly as well. It's an alcohol-free toner. That's what I was looking for in a toner, was no alcohol, preferably one that was hydrating and would balance my pH. This one has cucumber and grapeseed extracts to restore moisture balance, and it helps to lock in moisture and soothe skin to leave it fresh, supple, and ready for treatment. So that's really all I wanted from this. Murad is a really good brand. It is dermatologist developed. They have a lot of really skin loving ingredients in them, but this does it for me. I wanted a toner. I love that it's a spray and you can set your makeup with this, so I'm just gonna mist it. I love that you can use it as a setting spray, but typically what I do is pat my face dry after cleansing and then spritz this on. I'll typically do like a 1, 2, 3. I kind of want a little bit on the neck and décolleté as well. I might use 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, but whatever works for you, and it just does exactly what I need it to do. It's a great prep for the rest of your skincare. I don't have any serums or moisturizers that I can really honestly say blew me away this year. I do have a lot that I liked, and I still have a lot that I want to try that I've just been like using up some other things, but nothing really made me say, oh my god, that is the best ever. There are a few that I really want to try and I'm sure I would be in love with, like the Tatcha Silk Cream. I love the Drunk Elephant La La Retro. That's a good example of moisturizer. So if anything, I probably would have picked that one. But honestly, there was no holy grail that I tried this year. But in a year's time, if you use full-size moisturizers, you may only use 3 or 4 moisturizers. That's crazy to think about. So yeah, nothing that I used this year really blew me away. So we're going to hop into now some makeup products. That's what the rest of this is. So the first thing I'm going to talk about are some tools before I go into primer, foundation, and all of that good business. So the first tool that I love is my Stands Out Beauty. It's dirty, so please ignore that. So this is their Memory Foam Makeup Sponge. I love this for a couple of reasons, because you can use it dry. I prefer it still wet, but I can get away with using this completely dry. So if I'm in a hurry, or say you carry your makeup with you, are you gonna like run to a bathroom and wet your sponge? Or are you just gonna like throw it on? This you can use dry. I still prefer it wet, like I said, but I love that you can use the angles of this. So I'll typically apply my foundation with this side, You can go in with the angle here. You can use this side for concealer. You can use this side to blend out a contour if you do creams. You can bake with it, so it's really multi-functional, multi-purpose, and it's held up really, really well. I've used this so many times. I still have to give an honorable mention to a beauty blender because throughout everything, if I had to pick one sponge, I would still go with my beauty blender because I love the way it applies. Now, I was a little disappointed this year that I got like the mystery beauty blender and I got the yellow one. It was so not the same. It was more porous and it felt like the individual like holes in the sponge, if you will, where it's not a consistent smooth surface, were just larger. It was a tad bit coarser. So I don't know what they did there, but the original beauty blender is still, it has my heart. But man, is this easy if you are someone who is a mom who is always on the go. If you are like, I don't have time to do any of this, this is a lifesaver. Now, I want to mention a few brushes, and a few of these are honestly, I know that I love them so much because I need to replace them, and I have a ton of brushes, but these I reach for over and over again. So first, I'm going to talk about some of my Morphe favorites. These are all Elite brushes. I have not tried every single Morphe brush out there. I don't use exclusively Morphe brushes, but I do have a lot of favorites from them. So first, we're going to talk about the E17. This bad boy is worn out. You can't even read it anymore. It's definitely been well loved. This is the size of it here. Sorry for the swatches. This one is my favorite to do in the crease or to really put in some deeper shades in the outer corner of the eye. This, honestly, I reach for it every single day. I need to replace it because, you know, after a time of so much washing, of using it in my color switch, what I'll talk about in a second, it becomes a little bit rougher over time, but it's still a great brush, even though I have loved the heck out of it. So E17 is a definite favorite. Another eyeshadow brush is the E36. This is a round, almost domed or pencil brush. So this one is pretty much the same width as the ferrule to the top, so it doesn't fluff out a lot. It's just nice and dense, and it's a little bit coarser, just a bit stiffer. So I love this for under the lower lash line. It's the perfect detail brush. If I ever want to get into the crease and do like a really precise line, this one works as well because you can still blend just a bit. I don't know. This brush, E36, has been one of my favorites. I love it for the lower lash line. I have two Morphe brushes that I use on my brows, especially with dip brow. So the first one is the Morphe I want to say this is the E20. I can't even read it on here anymore. It's like rubbed off almost completely. So this one definitely needs a replacement as well. So this is the double-ended, the angled, and the spoolie. I use this with dip brow. Every time that I use it, I reach for this brush. There's something about it. It's got just the right width. So I found that some angled brushes can be a bit too thick. Some can be a little too thin. This one's just perfect. It is starting to kind of like fray and wear at the edges because I've used it so much. And the spoolie's just a disaster at this point, even though I continue to clean it. Love that one. And then the I think this is E35. I will try to link it down below, everything that I'm going to mention, so you can know for sure if I'm telling you the right thing. This one is the tiniest little brush. Very small. It's a great detailer, but I use this specifically. I dip into just a tiny bit of dip brow and I'll go in the front of my brows. I actually use a pencil today, but it gives me the most precise little hair strokes. Now, some might think this is a little bit too much work, but when you're missing a big section like I am and you want it to look, you know, kind of fleeky but kind of real at the same time, this is amazing. This is one of my all-time favorite brushes. As small as it is, it makes like the biggest impact on my brows. I love this brush. That's all the Morphe brushes I'm going to talk about. I could talk about them a lot more. I have a lot more that I love, but those are like these standouts. Next, I have a couple brushes from Real Techniques. These are both from the Brush Crush collection. This is the big kabuki brush. I cannot tell you how much I love this. So I use this with a micro smooth like baked powder to finish off my makeup or to kind of diffuse a blush that's a bit too strong. But my goodness, it's the right density. It's so soft, but it's got a really nice, dense, thick brush to it, but it's still got a lot of space. So I love this for bronzing when I really want to go over and like bronze the whole forehead or bronze the neck especially, and you need to really diffuse a lot of color. This is perfect. I love this brush. It's just the right density. Like, it's perfect. And Real Techniques, so it's still pretty affordable. The other one is the 302, which is the shape here. It's got a little bit of a unique, almost like triangular shape to the tip, but of course a little bit more rounded. It's just perfect. I love this for contour. I can also set my under eye with this, and I could use it for a precision blush brush. This is one that like I could have 2 or 3 of these and still use them all for one look. Just a really good one. Again, these bristles are so nice. Real Techniques makes some wonderful brushes, and I especially love the packaging of these two. Not that that's the most important thing, but they are really pretty as well. My favorite highlight brush has been the Sephora Collection Pro Fan Detail number 62. I really don't like a big fan brush for applying highlight. It doesn't work for me. So usually you're taking that big fan and you're like doing this line, but you really gotta work it to make it look diffused and not like a line. This one, however, is just right because it hugs that area and you can literally go in and just like play and blend as much as you want. I love this fan brush so much. And these are a little bit pricier. I mean, they're going to be a little bit more than your Morphe brushes, but I've not found anything that applies highlight quite like this. This has even taken the place of my MAC 133, which is saying a lot. I had to include one blending brush. This is a crease brush from Moda Pro. It is the BMX 430, it's a complicated name, but it's just the right level of like, it's not too dense, it's got some movement in it, so you can really kind of flick the color back and forth. You can go circular and blend. You can even use this to diffuse under the eye. It's just the right size. It's not too big, it's not too small. It's like, it's just perfect, you know what I mean? So I love this brush as well. One more tool type thing to talk about is my color switch. It's a Sephora by Vera Mona, and to me this is something that I use every single day. There may not be any other product here that I use every single day, but this is one that I do. So anytime I do an eye look, and for instance, if I'm in a hurry or I love this brush right here, but I want to use 2 different colors, I'll pick one up, go in and use it, and then use it in my color switch to kind of dust it off or remove the color. And it works every time. The next color that you dip in will be completely saturated. It won't be muddied up. It won't be mixed with the previous color. This is a definite must. It's pretty affordable. I think it's like 12 bucks. I will link it below. Definitely a must-have for me. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about basically a full face of makeup from primer to finishing spray. So I have 2 primers that were my favorites this year. The first is the Smashbox Photo Finish Primerizer. This one just really did it for my skin. It is hydrating, so it's primer and moisturizer in one. It has both hyaluronic acid and niacinamide in it, so very hydrating ingredients. The hyaluronic acid will kind of bring moisture into the skin throughout the day as well. I always use this after moisturizers, so I personally, I'm too dry to use this as my moisturizer step and primer in one, but I love to layer it, so I'll go in with a regular moisturizer and then use a bit of this, and it's just perfect. It's got a little bit of tackiness, just a touch to help grip the makeup, but the hydrating portion is amazing. For pore filling and blurring, I've been using the Cover FX Blurring Primer. You can tell I've squeezed that one quite a bit. This one is a little bit thicker. It's got just a bit of tint to it, but I love to press this just where my pores are noticeable and to smooth out the texture. I don't put it where I don't need it, so I probably won't use any of this on the forehead, but I will get into all the pores on the chin, just this whole area here. I don't hear as many people talk about Cover FX primers anymore, but they're really good quality, and this one has just been my favorite for filling those pores and blurring the skin a little bit. Next, for foundation, I do have 2 that really stood out to me this year, but number 1 has definitely been my CoverGirl True Blend Matte Made Foundation. This is just one of the shades that I've used, and you can tell I've given it a lot of love. This one is just perfect to me. It's the right amount of coverage. I would definitely say it's more medium to full, but it's got the perfect comfortable matte finish that's not too drying. So for me, I like the look of matte, but if you go too far in that matte direction, it can look cakey. It can look like you have drier skin than you already do. This one is just the perfect combination. I can't tell you how amazed I am with this foundation. I was fortunate enough for CoverGirl to send me this, but I have been using it almost, I mean, most days for quite some time. So for, I swear, 3 or 4 months, I use this every single day, and then I started back to kind of dabble in, but I keep coming back to it because it's truly amazing and the price point is awesome. One other one that I had to mention is the Smashbox Studio Skin 15-Hour Wear Hydrating Foundation. So on days where I want a little bit more of a luminous finish, or at least natural finish, this has been a really good go-to. It's a thinner consistency, but still lasts all day long. I love to pair this with both of those primers. So I'll hydrate my face, blur my pores, and then go in with this, and it gives my skin such a healthy, hydrated look. But it really does last a long time, whereas a lot of other radiant foundations don't really last as long. This one just blew me away. It was one that's been around for a while, and I just recently started trying it this year, earlier this year. So yeah, I just love it. It's oil free, it's amazing. So apart from Shape Tape this year, I feel like, yeah, you can throw Shape Tape in there. Everybody knows it, everybody loves it. I've never heard a person say that they really hated it. It can be a bit drying for me. So the only other concealer that stood out is the Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. The Born This Way foundation, I'm gonna be honest, is not my favorite. This, however, gives a lot of coverage, but blends easily, and it's a little bit more hydrating than Tarte Shape Tape, so I give a little edge to this one over the Shape Tape personally. So it's been the standout. I still feel like I have not found the one concealer that is the most amazing for me. I still tend to have just a tiny crease right there no matter what I use, no matter what I set it with. It really doesn't matter what I do. I always have that. So this has been a true favorite of mine. I'm going to be super basic when it comes to powders because I had a few that I thought were really good. A couple of honorable mentions are the Tarte Shape Tape setting powder and the Pretty Vulgar setting powder, both of which I really love, but I've just recently started using more, so I wouldn't say that they've been a favorite of the year, but recent favorite. But all year long, I have been using the regular Laura Mercier setting powder to set my T-zone with, and then I have been using the translucent powder in Glow to give a little bit of glow. So what I like to do is use one of my sponges to set my T-zone with the original powder, and then I actually mix a bit of these to use all over the face so that it still gives a really good setting powder power to it, if you will, but then you get a glow as well around the perimeter of the face and especially on the high points. So I've been loving both of these together. So for face color, we'll start with bronzer. I have been using two bronzers all year long. Essentially, I'm using the Omega Bronze from Marc Jacobs all the time. This one is just an amazing color. You can tell it's been well loved. It's a little beat up, but it's such a big pan that even though I've been using this constantly, it still looks really good, which I like. It also has a little bit of that coconut in it, which I don't mind at all. And then the other one I've been using is the Tarte Park Avenue Princess. There is a new packaging out now, but I'm still working on this one. You can tell she's been loved as well. This one has a luminous finish, so it really just depends on what finish I'm looking for. If I want to look more matte or more luminous. This does not look like dry matte though. It looks like a beautiful skin finish matte, and this one has a luminosity. So these have been my go-to bronzers all year. For contouring, however, this palette still remains one of my absolute favorites. I've talked about it before. This palette is the contour palette from Lunatics Cosmetics Labs, and this has honestly been my all-time favorite. First, let's talk about the packaging. It's cute and creepy and I love it. But my favorite thing about this palette is that you can do a little bit of everything. What I use the most are these two shades right here. This is a light gray, and then you have a light contour. I like to mix the two. Just a little bit of the gray gives that nice cool shadow effect so it's not too warm. Especially if you've already bronzed the face, you want to go a little something slightly cooler. I love that mixture. And then here lately, especially if I have a little bit more color, I will actually mix all four of these shades. So both the grays and both the browns, especially when it comes to the jawline and the forehead, and then I'll go a little softer on the cheekbones and then only use the two shade on the nose contour. Those are my favorites. I also really like the blushes. We get down here, I really don't use these as much because they are so dark, but occasionally I'll use them for a specific look. You can even use these on the eyes as well. For blushes, there haven't really been a lot of standouts to me, and I'm not a huge blush person. I want just enough color that looks like I've got a bit of flush on the cheeks, but really no more than that. And the two that I honestly have used the most all year long are the Milani Powder blushes. I have both Romantic Rose and Tea Rose, a little bit more neutral and a bit more pink. Milani is just really affordable but also very good quality. Highly recommend their blushes. They have a lot of good products. For highlights, there have been many highlights that I have loved, but when I really thought back to what I wanted to reach for the most and what I was really excited about, two of them came to mind. Another one by Milani is the Hypnotic Lights. This one is in the shade Luster Light. So I actually love multiple colors in this, but they have a beautiful, just a very light little shift to to them that make them uber gorgeous. This one's a bit softer, and it's one of those that just hits the light just right. There's a pinkish shade that I really love as well. For a more like high-end option, I love the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector Pressed in Vanilla Quartz. This has been a gorgeous shade for those who like a bit of gold but are a little bit more on the fair side like I am. It's just been beautiful, a little bit more blinding. But the thing that I love about Becca highlights is that they're smooth on the skin. They do not show texture, and for that reason they are always one of my absolute favorites. Okay, so at this point we are basically down to eyes and lips, and I have a few to share with you. Let's start with eyeshadow palettes. So I have one that beat out all other palettes in my mind, and some may like this and some may not. Some people may not like that I'm including this, but I don't care. I love this palette so much. The Blood Sugar was inventive with the packaging, which I love. It is kind of bulky, but I honestly love it so much. While I've used this palette many times, it still looks pretty brand new because you only need a little bit of these shadows to make it work because they are so pigmented. So that's what I love about this. I can pop any of these colors on. They're rich, they're pigmented. I love that the formula is vegan and cruelty free as well. You can't beat that. But just to show you guys, I'm just gonna pick up Cherry Soda, which is this beautiful red, and just look at the pigmentation. That's what did it for me. These are also pressed pigments, I should say. The fact that they are such good pigmentation, but they're still vegan is pretty impressive because it's not easy to formulate those amazing shadows many brands always talk about, and especially as many palettes are hit and miss and good and bad here and there, you can tell it's not easy to get a consistently good formula. So this has been just an all-time favorite of mine. I love this palette. I need to use it more. I'm always trying new palettes out, but when I think about what really made me excited, it was this one. I wanted to mention this palette, even though I just got my hands on this within the past maybe month or so. The Violet Voss Holy Grail palette has just been amazing, and every time I wear this, I get questions. Even though they're neutrals, everybody's like, what are you wearing? What's on your eyes? And I just have to say that this palette is gorgeous. It's got a really nice selection of neutrals. So if reds are not your things, you want something a bit more high-end, you don't want a drugstore palette, you want a lot of pigmentation, you want mattes, you want shimmers, but you want very wearable colors, this one will definitely do it for you. And I've been very impressed with the quality. I have a lot of neutral palettes. It's the one thing that I really don't look for anymore is neutrals. I'm not as excited about them. So when I used this, I was just amazed that I got so excited about the quality, how they blended the shades and everything about it. So yeah, I just wanted to quickly mention that one as well. Affordable options that I really loved are ColourPop. These are just a few that really stood out to me this year. This is the Cute AF. I love the bright colors of this. You've got yellows, oranges, reds, you've got a few browns. Their pressed shadows are very good quality, and it never ceases to amaze me how good they are, especially for the price. They're so affordable. If this is still available, I will link it below, but this is the Cute AF. Femme Rosa was a collaboration with ColourPop, and is it Karuchi or Karushi? I don't know. I'm really sorry if I butchered that, but this is a gorgeous collaboration. I love the rose packaging, and really the colors did it for me. I love these type of vibes. You get some rosy shades, some more purples. It's just a really gorgeous palette, especially if you like a lot of shimmer, you like light colors of shimmer, dark colors of shimmer, and you don't use as many mattes. This is a definite go-to. I really like this one. One more I wanted to throw in there is the I Think I Love You palette, which honestly, if you like a more smoky neutral look, you can't go wrong with this one. Sorry for the metallic packaging, but it's got really beautiful metallic shades. This gold is just amazingly poppin'. I can never forget how great that looks. Ooh. And then it has a nice range of neutral mattes, very smoky, taupey colors. It's just a really good palette. I had to throw a few of these in here, but you can almost not go wrong when it comes to ColourPop because they're so affordable and good quality. So there you go. I've got a few liners and mascaras I wanted to mention, but first I want to talk about the Stila Magnificent Metal Glitter and Glow liquid eyeshadows. Such a long name, but they're gorgeous. This is the shade Gold Goddess. It's been one that I've worn a lot with warmer eyeshadow looks. But overall, it really doesn't matter what color you're talking about. These are gorgeous. I think they really broke the mold, and then now you have a lot of brands coming in with similar things. I don't know of anything like this that came out prior to Stila. correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like they were kind of groundbreaking in that way. And then you've got all these others that are coming out. I've tried them. I love a lot of them, but still doesn't beat the Stila ones to me. They're just so, so good. For liners, I have to mention the NYX Vivid Bright liners. If you're looking for colored liners, these are my go-to. They are a liquid formula with like a brush tip, so that would be, if you were looking for that version of liner, this would definitely be a recommendation. They're more on the affordable side. They're not like $2, but they are more affordable. You can pick these up at Ulta, anywhere that they sell NYX. These are so gorgeous though. Highly pigmented, saturated color, just a must-have. For black liner, nothing beat the Stila ones in my opinion. I dabble in Kat Von D, I dabble in some drugstore ones, but when it comes down to it, if I want my liquid liner to make sure it's gonna stay, it's gonna apply beautifully, it's gonna be richly black, I always go for the Stila. So I have the original and the micro tip. I'll just show you the tips really quick, see the difference there. So the micro tip is super, super fine. So if you like to detail your liner, or if you just have a hard time keeping the line really small, you can go with the micro tip. But I love this to get like that precision point on the wing, or to get right there in the inner lash line on the top. Beautiful. Mascaras, I really only have two favorites, and honestly the fact that I have two favorite mascaras is pretty remarkable. So I do like Too Faced better than Sex, but I feel like everybody talks about that one. We know that it's good. Let's move on. My other two favorites have been the Dior Iconic Over Curl, which is here. This one has a curved brush and it gives me a lot of curl and volume, and my lashes really have a hard time becoming curled and staying curled. So this one really did it for me. It'll also lengthen and volumize. And yeah, it's a lot for a mascara, but if you're going to splurge, Dior is a go-to. And then since this mascara came out, it's probably been one of my all-time favorites. It's the Milk Kush Mascara. This, apart from the packaging being super heavy, and I don't know what this is made of, but it's some type of metal, it's amazing. It's got a big brush on it, so some people like those, some people don't, but it does have the cannabis oil in it, which conditions the lashes, and something about this formula just works with my lashes. I do have to do a little bit of curling if I want a really curled effect, but it gives volume, it gives a beautiful length, and it's not too dry of a formula, so I don't have trouble with this one flaking. I've just been loving this Milk mascara since it came out. Okay, a few lip products and then we will be done. Just lying, I have two setting sprays. So the first one I want to talk about is a lip plumper. This is the Grande Lips. I just grabbed the clear one. They do have colors as well. This is just the best lip plumper that I've tried that truly gives a plumped effect. It doesn't just burn the lips to the point of they're like red and swollen. It really does do a good, nice plump, but it's comfortable on the lips as well. It can be a little bit pricier, but for me, it's the best and it lasts a very long time as well. For matte liquid lipsticks, my favorites all year long, I wear a lot of Jeffree Star. I like the Kat Von D formula. I really like the NARS ones, but when it came down to it, I reached for the Stila liquid lips probably more than any others. The formula is very nice, highly pigmented. They dry down, but they're not too dry on the lips. They've got a really nice range of very wearable shades. So if you haven't tried a Stila liquid lip, I would encourage you to go into the store and test one out. You can find them at Sephora. The other one I had to mention is the CoverGirl Melting Pout Matte Lipstick. I just want to give them all the props in the world for coming out with new products, better products, and becoming cruelty-free. Like, so proud of them for doing that. It's such a big brand. But these are the Melting Pout lipsticks. I think these are a truly really good formula, and I have not found a lot of good drugstore liquid lips that I truly love. I feel like usually they're too drying or they're just cakey on the lips. There's always something I can find to like nitpick about, but this is a really good formula. So I highly recommend the CoverGirl for a drugstore. The glosses that I love the most this year are the Tarte H2O glosses. They have a very hydrating formula, beautiful packaging. I love the water droplets, but they have a nice array of colors. So some of them are more pigmented than others. Some are sheerer with shimmer in them. But my goodness, I love these. They make the lips feel very hydrated. They stay on well, but they aren't incredibly sticky. They have a tackiness to them because they are a gloss, but they're not like super sticky to the point where your hair is like getting stuck in it. This one did it for me. And they have a big turtle on their website that is filled with all of the shades of this gloss, and I want that turtle, but I refuse. I refuse to spend that much money because I don't need them. It's time to rein it in, you know what I mean? But if I had like an extra few $100s laying around, I would definitely order that turtle. Okay, finally we have setting sprays, and then I promise I'm done. So I have two to mention. First, of course, is Urban Decay All Nighter. I would like to point out though that I really like the pollution protection version of the original All Nighter. So this one is just environmental defense, so it'll protect you from free radicals and things of that nature. I just like that added benefit. Anything to protect the skin, I'm all about it, and it has the great makeup setting properties as the original All Nighter, so I had to throw that one in there. And then probably my all-time favorite is the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea 4-in-1 Setting Mist. This is just a mini because I ran out of my full size, but this one's full, and I'm glad I have this. So I'm not complaining that I don't have the full size. This one is truly amazing. You can use this on the skin to hydrate as well. It's 4-in-1, so it does a lot of things for the skin. My favorite thing about it though is that it melts my powder to the point where it looks like skin. So all the powders just melt together with the foundation and everything I'm wearing, and it literally starts to look like just beautiful, perfect skin, if that makes sense. So this one is, oh, I love it. I cannot tell you how much I love the setting spray. Sometimes I'll even put this on and then spray just a little bit of this on top of it. Yes, that's a little bit extra, but you know, sometimes I'm extra. All right guys, those are all my favorite products for 2018. I'm losing my voice because I've been talking nonstop, so I apologize if I sound a little strange. And let me know below what your favorite products for the year of 2018 were. Do we have any similar favorites? I'm very curious to know, but also let me know if you have favorites that I haven't tried yet. I would definitely love to try them. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and of course subscribe before you leave. Make sure to check out my giveaway that is running through January 25th, I think, so you've still got time to enter that if you haven't already. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.
Why am I so close?